My name is Ashanti, and welcome to the Taking Off the Mask podcast, where men get real. Men of all ages and backgrounds come to this space to talk about these masks we wear. Today is the Education Monthly episode. It's our fourth edition of Education Monthly, and we're going to have a different format than you've been experiencing on this show. You're going to hear some interviews from one of our young men, Bilal. Bilal, you probably met on one of our Taking Off the Mask face-to-face episodes with Wenceslao. And today, he is going to be interviewing people that he met at the 20th annual 5K challenge. So for those of you that don't know what these masks are, when we talked about the mask, that's what we let the world see about us gladly. The front of the mask are things and qualities of ourselves that we gladly let the world see. The back of the mask are the things that we don't usually talk about. And in these questions, Bilal is going to encourage people to maybe take off the mask a little bit. Maybe, and some of the questions are lighter. They're not as deep, but they get deeper. One of the questions is, who was your favorite teacher growing up? Another question was, something people don't know about you. Another one is, what's something you want to get off your chest? Can you feel the shift in depth? The next question is the importance of brotherhood. And the last prompt is, what are you struggling with as a man? Now, what you're going to experience in kind of how we've organized this episode is some of the questions are going to be really light and they'll be short form in the first part. And then when he gets in some of the deeper questions, some of the people who are answering actually go deeper themselves. And so part of it is us giving the space. So you'll see some shorter answers in the front, and then toward the end, you're going to hear some really meaningful, deeply thought out answers as the questions get deeper as well. So we're so excited for you being a part of this. And I've decided that right here in this intro, I'm going to answer one of the questions that has been stirring with me. And the question is, what's something you want to get off your chest? Now, I got a lot I want to get off my chest, but I think the one I'm going to focus on is going to be what we continue to see happening in our schools. Sometimes the lack of attention to the social, emotional wellness and welfare of our students. It's going to be about the waiting for the reactive response to situations as opposed to the proactive approaches towards wellness for our young people. And we see it all the time. This past May, or we're still in the month of May, a couple of weeks ago, we participated in the Mental Health Action Day. And I think we probably, in terms of the phone calls that our team made, in terms of visits to schools, let's say we visited and called combined 30 schools, like direct calls and direct visits. And then another, let's say a couple of hundred educators that we just kind of sent messages out to. Now, what we're learning is that emails is probably not the best outreach in the month of May. But for the ones that we had direct contact, let's say 30 of those schools who made the commitment that they were going to try and do something, and then we found that many of them didn't do anything. Now, listen, as a former teacher, anytime I talk about educators, I don't talk about it as a person who is just judging from the outside, because I've been an educator. I've been a teacher. I work with teachers all the time. And I also was a teacher who didn't just operate under the teacher name, under the teacher guise, under the teacher role. My work was always after the time of school, after, like it was constantly. So I have a perspective of education that is beyond the bells. The first bell of the day, the last bell of the day, my required professional development, my required staff meetings. My work was always bigger and more engaged than that. And so I hold not only to myself to a higher level of standard of what that is, and I know that some teachers are tired, worn out, and exhausted. I know that as well. So in this work, as we're trying to continue educating our communities and helping educators, we know that sometimes we're coming in with all of this energy and knowing that the energy is not there. Like the level of energy that teachers have left is at the breaking point in the month of May. And at the same time, I hold schools to an idea that we cannot start taking vacation before the vacation starts, because our kids still need us. I'm not talking about just vacation in the mind. I'm talking about we are like holding it like we can't do anything more right now. And I'm really concerned about that. I think our young people need us in so many different ways. And what we've tried to do is trying to create resources for educators that is not in the school building. Because if it's not there, if you're not doing social emotional supports for students in September through the month of April, then for sure the month of May is going to be like, hey, it's the end of the school year. We don't have time for that. Let's think about that for next year. And yes, let's think about that for next year. And let's not send students home to summer without at least equipping them with some tools to navigate the emotional overload and the emotional overwhelm that life is providing right now. As an educator, I can tell you some students are going home to loving homes. They may be taking a trip somewhere, even if it's not far. They may be jumping on a train or a bus or doing something engaging over the summer. Maybe there's some summer programming happening. We know that in some families that's going to happen. And in some families, it is not going to look like that. And so if we are going to be educators who are going to say, we know that our kids are going, we're going to send them out because I'm ready for vacation. I know how that feels at the end of the year. Just can't wait. But my work was never done at the end of summer. So I don't think of it in that way. My work was like, okay, what am I going to do for these young people over the summer? How are we going to engage them? What am I going to do to help get things shored up for next year? How do we close out the 24-hour relay, which was always our event in May, always the Memorial Day weekend, the end of the school year? How do we get things ready for next year? It was always about building the capacity to do deeper work. And what I'm encouraging, what I'm trying to get our schools and teachers to understand is that we got to find a way to be thriving in this work. We can't just drag our way to this work. Let me tell you something else that's been on my mind. You know, when I left my first teaching job at San Lorenzo High School, I didn't want to leave San Lorenzo High School. Like, it wasn't like my choice. Well, let me take that back. I mean, not say it that way. Let me say it more clear. It was my choice to leave. I didn't have the desire to leave. I left because of the new leadership that showed up was not healthy for me to be around. It was unsafe. It was, as the only Black male teacher at that school, at San Lorenzo High School, it felt dangerous. It felt dangerous. When I got back from India from my fellowship in the Fulbright, I was excited to be back in my school with my students. I was so excited to come back to Ever Forward. I was excited to plan out our 24-hour relay that we would never miss. I was excited to plan out our college trip that I was committed to us still doing. Even though I only had like 2 months to try and plan all that out, I was excited. And I came back to a leadership that was absolutely horrifying. I was like, what's going on here? Did I just walk into a nightmare? And making the decision to leave was at the last resort. I tried all the ways of navigating a system that was absolutely unhealthy, and I made a decision. And I remember like it was yesterday, just watching these the alumni videos that we just produced. So when I left San Lorenzo to go to Marin, it was a very different experience. Not only was I going from this role as a teacher of 100 and plus kids a day, I went to a place as a math specialist where I was only teaching maybe 3 classes a day, but I was also doing adventurous work. I also experienced something. Now, let me just name, I was at a private school, so there's a very different level of engagement as well. But I was also, I had a classroom budget. Now, I never experienced this as a public school teacher, having a classroom budget. I think my classroom budget, let's say, if it was $2,500, that's low. I think it may have been $5,000, but I think $2,500 it may have been where it was at. Somewhere between $2,500 and $5,000, I got to work on my professional development. I got to buy supplies for my classroom. Like, I didn't have to go in my pocket to figure out how I was going to buy some Astro Bright paper to make some really cool things for my students. I could purchase it and get reimbursed right away. Man. I left the day feeling energized to prepare for the next day. I didn't leave the day feeling exhausted, trying to figure out how do I show up the next day. It was a different experience of learning. There was small things that took place. There was professional development where they brought food. What? There was every month they had a birthday celebration for birthdays of the month, and it was small. It was fruits and bagels and donuts, and I mean, that's just small things that turn into really big things of appreciation. And it went from being at somewhat of a low functioning kind of space to a place that's high functioning. And I realized, I was only there for 2 years. When I came back to Oakland to teach again, I recognized that I was coming back to a new place again. When I would go back and visit San Lorenzo after work to go see the members of Ever Forward Club, or we were having a guest speaker, I would go back and I would have to really be mindful of how I showed up, because I didn't want to create a odd feeling, because I was so juiced and fired up and had so much energy. I'm talking about even those long stretches of time between like October and November, where you don't really have many breaks. And so you're basically like this 6, 7, 8 week back to back, no holidays. Like even during that season, I was feeling fired up because I wasn't being worked to the bone. I realized that when I would go back to go visit Ever Forward, when I would go back to see Mr. Santian and see the students, like I walked into a place where teachers were worn out and I wasn't. I had been in an environment where learning and teaching was about keeping everyone at a place of thriving. And I remember the feeling of driving back. I'm driving all the way from Marin all the way back to San Lorenzo. Like I'm driving through traffic. I get there and I got energy. Like I'm like fired up, not only just because I'm get to see my young friends there, but Mr. Santian and the other educators who I missed. And then I saw how tired they were. And sometimes it felt unfair to show up with all this energy and be like, hey. So sometimes I recognize that I put on my mask of, I see you. Yeah, I see you. It wasn't that I lied. It was that I had a hard time expressing the fact that I had so much energy, that I was so well rested, that I felt so well taken care of, even if it was just the small little things like birthday pastries and fruit in the morning every month. That's small. That's a small thing to provide for teachers, but you know how much that feels good to show up on Tuesday morning and it's like, hey, we're celebrating the February birthdays. Come on down to the cafeteria. Come on down to the teacher staff room and grab some snacks. And that's small. It's even a small cost. But you know how many schools don't do it? So many. You know how many schools don't care enough to like make that a priority? So many. So when I left Marin and went back to my school, when I went to a new location, that was an idea that I said I'm bringing with me. Like how powerful that is, how important it is. Just the small things add up to the big things. So anyway, I think what I'm going to do right here as I close up this piece, as I'm imploring any of you who are listening, teachers, educators, parents, that we have 2 layers of things we have to do for our schools moving into the fall. Listen, I'm going to say one more thing before I give you this call to action. We had our 20th anniversary celebration this past weekend. 20 years of the Ever Forward Club, 20 years of building community, 20 years of building character, transforming lives in the lives of our young people. I am grateful to have had a opportunity to play a role in that, in dozens and dozens of lives and hundreds of lives of young people, not only through Ever Forward Club Direct, but through the Million Mask Movement and through the 24-hour relay, which is now pivoted to this 5K walk run. But the night before our event, the Friday before our event, this is like in the last 3 days, there was a shooting at one of our high schools during graduation. Now, I don't know if that shooting caused families not to show up at a different high school on Saturday morning, but I'm clear that it made me feel a little bit worried. I was trying to think of the right word to say. Was I scared? Was I worried? Was I afraid? Like I was worried that families were going to not want to show up after that situation, even though it was a different school altogether. It wasn't the same school, but even I felt the worry of like, are people going to show up? And so my mind goes into the wandering and the worrying and you know, if I was being as honest as I could be right now, I wish more people came out. I wish more people came out to enjoy these huge inflatables that we that we set up for them. I mean, everyone who was there enjoyed them, but I wish more had come out to enjoy them. And I can't help but wonder if it has something to do with what happened on Friday night. And that sometimes makes me a little sad, you know. But what I'm thankful for is that we continue to stay focused on the long-term goal. That all I can do is continue building a person who plants seeds in the community of love and of care and of empathy, of kindness, of compassion. And I'll continue doing that until something says it's time to move to something else. 20 years of this work. I don't know if you have any traditions you've done for 20 years. I don't know if you have any community events you participated in for 20 years in a row, but I'm sure where I have been every Memorial Day weekend for the last 20 years, I've been on a football field, some kind of field somewhere, creating space for young people to feel safe. And so thank you if you've been a part of that journey with us. Thank you if you've never heard about it. But thank you for also being a part of what we get to do in Ever Forward. And we need you to be a part of this. Thank you for being a part of the Million Mask movement. And as we move into the celebrating the rest of this 20 years, just stay tuned, because as we move into the school year, we have some really exciting things coming up. And I'm looking forward to sharing them with you here first as we move into this next 24-25 school year. And so thank you. You can still support if you are a person who's out there and you know somebody looking to support an organization trying to do good work in their community. This global work that we're doing with the Million Mask movement, please send them to our website, everforwardclub.org. And you yourself, if you can do nothing else but take a few minutes and make a mask, we really invite you to do that at millionmask.org. And we'll see you real soon, folks. Take good care, be well, and enjoy today's episode, Education Monthly number 4. Bye now. Hammer Production.
Hello, welcome to the 20th annual 5K. I'm Bilal and I'm here with...
I'm Nate.
Xavier Collins.
And I'm here with...
DeAndre. I'm Tariq.
Medgar. And Pebble Galley.
And I'm here with...
Jared Martinez.
Thank you for being here. So I'm just going to ask you a couple questions, and I'm just going to be asking him a few questions. Who would you say, out of your whole school career, is your favorite teacher ever, and why? Who is your favorite teacher at your school?
Favorite teacher? Mr. Man, my biology teacher. That's my guy, man. I go in there, he's playing the guitar, getting snacks for you. He's really like a friend. He's just always there. He could talk to him about anything. He has so many life experiences, he could just ask him about anything. It's just so cool.
I think it has to be my choir teacher, Miss Sadaway.
And why is that?
She always just welcoming with a smile, and has gotten me through a lot, and is always there for her students and really cares about what she does.
Also Miss Sadaway for me, but my English teacher this year, Miss Paris, has been incredibly encouraging for most of what I want to do, and she's helped to move most people in her class through the last bit of high school, and she's been very encouraging and helpful.
My favorite teacher is, her name is Kathy Campbell. She was my English teacher for 7th and 8th grade. She's actually a mentor of mine now, and we stay in touch. She's like an auntie to me now. So,
what did you like about her?
She was very open, very supportive. She recognized, greatness in me. She gave me special attention in the sense of she didn't just teach class, but she checked in with me, tapped in with me. I developed a great relationship with her. In high school, I babysit her son and helped her out around the house. And she just became like an auntie to me now, so we're very close now.
Okay, thank you. Did you go to high school in the Bay Area? You from here?
Yeah, I went to 3 different high schools. One is not in the Bay Area, but I went to Berkeley High and Kennedy High School, Kennedy and Richmond.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Thank you so much. Who is your favorite teacher
My favorite
ever.
teacher, man. Shoot. Favorite teacher.
Or it could be like a mentor.
Mentor? Man, I would say mentor. My favorite mentor is Justin Martinez, my oldest brother.
How was he there for you, and like how did he mentor you?
Oh man, he's a leader. He's the perfect role model. He's one of my main outlets, someone that I can go to if I ever need anything. Yeah, he's been there through thick and thin. Yeah, I would say my brother.
I really feel that since I have an older brother too, and I feel like I can go talk to him whenever I need to.
Yeah, he's a perfect role model, man. Yeah, that's the. If I could be like someone, I would want to be like him, for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, sir.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
I think one of my favorite teachers is Arjuna. He helps students make podcasts, which like are posted on Spotify, and it's like about the school. The way he teaches really keeps it interesting, and also I think he's really good at like kind of like helping people. He does a lot of important stuff in the school, kind of with like tech stuff, but also I think it's just like he's always like a safe person to go to and like talk about what's on your mind.
Yeah. Tell me something people don't know about you. It could be anything. Can you tell me something people don't know about you? What is something people don't know about you?
I actually do American Ninja Warrior. If you've seen the show, I do that. And I just got a job recently at a Ninja Warrior gym where I actually make money from it. So,
Whoa, that's awesome. So you're like, you can do all the swinging things and stuff?
yeah.
Oh, that's super cool.
Sometimes I come off that I don't care, but most of the time I do care. I walk around sometimes looking like I don't want to talk to people, but if somebody comes up to me, I'm probably gonna want to talk to. Yeah, it's pretty much just the way I present myself. Like I don't look that approachable, but in reality I'm approachable.
I don't think many people know this about me, but like I'm a big superhero nerd. Like I have like over like 50 collectible figures at my house. I don't really tell people about that.
Nice.
When I was in middle school, I was obsessed with this book series called Warriors, about these cats who like live in the forest in groups and like fight each other. I thought it was going to be a lifelong obsession, and then I just kind of stopped liking it during the pandemic. But I don't really talk about that, but it was a huge part of my life until like a couple years ago.
I read those books too. They're really good. Sorry, can you tell me who your favorite superhero was?
Ooh. Green Arrow was my favorite superhero at one point. Not anymore, but was.
I was vegan for 6 years, and a lot of the time people, don't expect that from someone, just being raised on, all certain types of different meats and all that type of stuff. So when I made that decision, it was just a big wow factor. It was like back in the day, vegans were looked at as like, there wasn't too many vegans out there. So, yeah.
Why'd you decide to go vegan? Was it like you didn't like meat, or?
It was more so for health reasons. And then I just wanted to do something different, man. I feel like, we're raised on meat, like as kids growing up and all this stuff. And I just feel like it was something different. I wanted to be different. That's what it was.
Yeah, awesome. How would you say the food is at the 5K today?
The ribs are fire. Mac and cheese was good. Baked beans was good as well. Chicken was alright.
Is there something that you recently have been wanting to get off your chest? Is there something recently you've been like wanting to get off your chest? It can be deep, it can be like not so deep, it could be anything. It could be anything, like, it doesn't have to be that deep.
Not really.
I don't know. There's just been a lot of stuff with like communication through just people just being real, keeping it real with people, keeping it 100.
I'm pretty transparent. I speak my mind at times. I mean, not really.
I think a lot of people, if you have something to say, get it off your chest. It's best to say it than like regret not saying anything at all.
Yeah, that's real. Thank you. Would you say being like transparent and open and stuff, is that like helped you a lot?
Oh, definitely.
How so, do you think?
I feel like it's less regrets in the sense of I feel like bottling emotions in and thoughts in, pretty toxic in a way where it's very important, especially with mental health, to be able to express yourself. We express ourselves in many ways, through clothing, through activity, and I think we underestimate communication in doing so.
I guess I'm just a lot more scared for what's coming next in life than I thought I would ever be. Because now that I'm graduating high school, it's finally hit me. I'm about to be an adult. I'm about to have to like try to figure stuff out on my own. Yeah. And it's a lot more scary than I thought it was going to be.
How would you say having like brothers and like people you can talk to in your life has like affected you and helped you?
I would say, man, it's been perfect outlets to vent and to branch out to. You know, at the end of the day, everyone needs help, and in my past, that was one of my biggest things to deal with, was asking for help. So it's always good to have someone else to go out and you know, get that advice from.
It's very important. I mean, everybody don't have access to a therapist, you know what I mean? And therapists just professional. So to have somebody personally in your life to be able to, who knows you pretty well, get to bounce things off of them.
What would you say is the hardest thing about being a man?
Hardest challenge of being a man? Say, the loneliness of being a man.
The hardest thing about being a man is being able to notice that it's okay to have emotions. You know, growing up, we're raised on being tough, don't cry, you know, don't show no type of weakness or nothing like that. So I would say that's the toughest, one of the toughest things. Other than that, is just knowing that, you know, there's people, family members, friends, people that depend on you.
Even amongst friend or kinship, like a lot of people end up having to join groups for the chance to not be lonely, because you can still be lonely even in these groups. And I've, like, even being in the Ever Forward, being in the Army, and at work, like, you're part of all these groups, but you could still be lonely as a man. You're locked into the loneliness of having responsibilities.
And it's all up to you. Men are the leaders. We give out a masculine purpose to fulfill a certain duty in life. So that's what it is.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
So you can't necessarily even be friends with anybody, not realistically. So you always have the responsibility to bear as being a man. Your responsibilities are to that status. You join these groups, and in these groups, like I deal with it a lot too. I've always had to, like, you find yourself doing the thing that is perceived as the right thing, so you never get to be really genuine or honest with anybody in your groups. And it isn't until you kind of break out of, like, these social groups, and sometimes you even go to a men's group. Like, I've been in, like, men's groups now where that's the focus, is to stop doing the quote-unquote right thing in every right scenario or every group that you're doing, so you can finally actually, like, start working on some of the genuine things you actually do feel. You're not just in sports doing the sports thing because that's the right thing to do, or you're not in, like, XYZ thing just because you're surrounded by people. Doesn't mean you actually, like, feel the community. It's because it's easy to be surrounded by people and still, like, have this, not really interject or, like, mix in with it, especially as a man.
Okay, so the question is, what is the hardest challenge you face as a man?
Wow. That is okay, actually so I'm going through a custody battle. right now with my ex-wife for our daughter. I'm finding out how the court system works. It's extremely challenging, especially when you don't have the resources to keep on fighting in the court. And when you want, when you want to be in your child's life, finding out that it's more difficult for you to keep fighting for your child than like the other option, which is to just be an absent father. Apparently that's what it seems like, and it's something that's been very mind-boggling to me. So to put it shortly, that's been my challenge, just custody issues. I'm here because I joined a men's group, right, where I was able to get a lot of support from the other men, because many men are going through the same thing. So
yeah. The pressure of being a man, and it's always like, well, he's a man, he can take it. Yeah. That's expected. It's gonna be expected. There's a lot of unsaid responsibilities that come with it, and you're not taught it. And then if you are, it's always it's a gamble. It's a gamble who's teaching you. The quality of men, it's tough because no one ever tells you, well, this is a good man, this is a bad man. And if they are, everyone has their bias towards it. Like, you either go with the strongest, the smartest, the most cunning, going with like somebody in the extremes of anything. But there's no like well-rounded man.
I have lived with a mask all my life, and I've tried to pretend it does not exist. I tried to look good and to act good and look like everything's going on. And in recent years, I have taken off my mask, and I love this whole concept of take off the mask and be who I am so I can enjoy my life more. And I've been working gradually to be more vulnerable. I'm more willing to say I hurt. I'm more willing to say I don't know, because those are the things I hid for many years.
It makes you realize that it's actually rare, the type of fathers that don't want to be involved in their children's life. It's my daughter's love that's keeping me going. If it wasn't for that, it would be something that's you can't survive out here in California.
Yeah.
Having to make court-ordered payments, it's difficult. But then just thinking about what's best for her and wanting to be there for her is what's keeping me going. It has to be that way, because when she came into the world, basically, you feel yourself not existing no more, because everything you do is for her, for them. Everything you want for you and all of that comes secondary, right? But she's priority from forever now. So everything you do it has to be about her. And then that involves your career, your place of living, whatever you do, everything you think about has to involve the child. So the people you hang out with, everything. So yeah, the children become your reason of living when you're a parent.
And like societally, people are always at arms to what is a man, what is a good man. Yeah. So everyone's always dealing with that internally too, especially as a boy. I remember looking up and thinking, what is a good man? Do I have to be strong and unyielding and like never thinking? Right, I grew up with that. Like I grew up with like Dirty Harry, like a cowboy, like that's a man. Like a person who like doesn't show facial emotion, all that stuff. Like, and now we have like therapy things where people are like, yeah, no, you have to be able to show emotion as a man, because that was the wrong way to be a man 20 years later. So they're always like changing what the script is to being a man, and then people still like you never get it right. You never. So they're always dealing with like that and trying to figure out like, I guess I kind of went off topic, but it's lonely because you're always trying to figure out what the right way to do it is, and in you trying to absorb all these different things, you never really get to an answer of your own up until you get to a men's group and you get to like shave off all the
Oh, the conditioning.
Yeah, all the conditioning and things people pile on top of you. It's like you're not supposed to be a cowboy. You're not supposed to be like a marshmallow either, because like it's wrong to be a marshmallow.
Yeah.
Like it's good to feel, but not so much that it gets so like, yeah, that it gets in the way of like your decision making too. Like there's being sensitive and being aware of your surroundings, and then there's just like hyper reacting to the point where it's not even critical anymore. And I think that's something that like right now is something that I see in men. They're being conditioned in a different way, in a way that makes them docile. And it's okay to feel, but also be critical. Like I've seen that especially, and then people pile onto you, just like the way people used to pile on guys who, right, like maybe they didn't want to like do mechanics or do like hard labor, right? Because it was seen as manly to do that kind of stuff. Guys who wanted to cook back then were piled on back then. Now when guys cook, it's good that we've grown and like have accepted some of these things. Because like now if I cook a meal, no one's gonna pile on and attack me for it. But now if I say something like, yeah, maybe this oversensitivity training stuff is like, it's a good thing to acknowledge it, but like if someone has an opinion, let's not pile on that person. Like they want to learn too. And that's kind of where I see like there's always gonna be growth, and this is something that like I think we should never stop being critical. We should never stop asking questions, because realistically, everyone's always gonna be a different type of man. Like there's no ideal man. I think that's, as I get older, I realize I'm like, yeah, I wish I would have known that younger. There's no such thing as the ideal man. You take what's right, or what your best right is, and like stick firm to it, and that'll make you more genuine, and so you won't feel like such a like a fake, an ingenuine person, especially in all these different groups. You can finally actually take off your mask and be a genuine you. And that's another thing too. It's like I wish I could teach that at least for the next generation, like how to, like I guess to like spot that, like that it's okay to be their genuine selves, and to spot where they're not able to be their genuine selves, just so they're not like having to like waste so much energy trying to just fit in. Cause like, and then teach people that the world is vast. Like there's more groups than the ones you can see. Like if I would have known when I was younger that I would have actually traveled the world, I would have cared a whole lot less. Cause I didn't think I was ever gonna leave this little area until I did. And I've been everywhere. I've been everywhere, like around the United States. And that, like, right, if I could tell them like there's more to the world than just like this little like spot that you can see, and it only gets bigger as long as you want to go. Yeah, loneliness. Like, if anything, it's like, might as well meet everybody before you decide you're lonely. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, no, that's good. I liked it. Good. Thanks.
The Taking Off the Mask podcast is produced by Ryan Louie and graphics by Kelly Wong. Guests are managed by Dan Paloma, and the podcast is edited by Samuel Matingo. We'd like to thank everyone who's been a part of the creation of this podcast, and for every guest that has been a part of the show, you are now a part of the Taking Off the Mask family. The Taking Off the Mask podcast is brought to you by the Ever Forward Club, and if you like what you heard today, please subscribe, write a 5-star review, and share this with someone. We look forward to having more conversations that matter. And please remember, there is more to you than anybody can see by just looking at you. Thank you.